All right, we're here live in San Luis Obispo for a Thursday afternoon contest between the number 1 ranked BYU Cougars and the number 21 ranked Cal Poly Mustangs. It's a perfect day for lacrosse here in San Luis Obispo, about 65 degrees, hardly any wind, and should be a nice contest. This is Mark Lee, and I'm going to be with you all afternoon. Coming at you solo today, so you're going to miss out on the witty repartee between myself and Sean O'Brien or Josh Moore. But I'll try to keep you going with the play-by-play and sprinkle in a little analysis and commentary throughout. So we're coming out for the opening face, or excuse me, the pregame lineup. Looks like we've got Baccarizo starting in the cage for the Mustangs. No surprise there. He's started each game so far this season and done a nice job. For the Cougars, it is Mason Moon. He's been a 4-year starter for the Cougars back in 2017 and then likely went on his 2-year mission and started in 2020. BYU played last year in 2021 and starting this year as well. We got the Mustangs in the gold home unis and Cougars coming at you in all blacks. Looks like Guy Lyons for the Mustangs coming out against Corwin Frey on the opening face. And here we go. Frey wins it back but can't corral it, and Guy competes hard and picks up the ground ball. Takes it himself behind X. And the Mustangs settle in for their first possession. Got Elliott coming in, number 44. That's not on the roster, so that must be a uniform issue. I'm not sure who that is. Hart with the ball now. Hart takes it himself down the alley, over to Toivola. Drives up from X and dishes it off. There's Mike Lejeski working against the long pole. Draws a quick slide. Back over to Toivola. Toivola back at X, getting the start today. Gets stripped there, loses possession, and it's BYU clear. They got a little bit of a numbers game here. Feed it to the backside, but the Mustangs are able to stop that transition opportunity, and the Cougars will settle in for their first offensive set. Toffeletti with the ball, drives across the top of the goal, top of the box. Long pass to the backside, had a good looking shot, but couldn't handle the pass. That's Alton Taylor that fumbled it. Lefty shot, didn't get the number, that was 5 actually. Garf, I think he's their lead point scorer, but Baccarizo makes his first save, and the Mustangs are able to clear the ball. Toivola sees something that probably wasn't there, and it's a Cougars fast break. Shot by the midfielder, corralled pretty handily by Baccarizo, but an errant outlet pass. It's going to go back BYU's way. Mustangs have struggled in their transition D, so it's a good sign. That was a pretty easily handled shot by Baccarizo. Forced the midi to take the ball himself, and the goalie won that battle. BYU finishes up their substitutions and starts off on the offensive possession. Drive down the alley, early slide from Hoblitzel. Working on the other angle is 21. Again, that's Halverson, another one of their main scorers. Sails the shot wide, but Cougars maintain possession with the backup. Long pass almost got him a little trouble. Ball up to Roberts, who breaks down the wing, takes it himself, puts it didn't have a lot on it, but it was a nice spot, offside high, but Baccarizo just tipped it, got a piece of it, and sailed it wide. Save Baccarizo, but maintains Cougar possession. Quick drive from 20. That was Alton Taylor. Looks like he might have been in the crease. Hard to tell from here. Refs are calling. There's a flag down, which probably means goal off, but pushed into the crease. 30-second man up BYU. That's going to be my guess. Okay, so there was 0 point in throwing a flag because that was after the play. But anyway, so they're saying he went into the goal mouth on his own volition. So goal is no good, and it's also a turnover. Flaherty got temporarily stripped, but manages to get it back himself, do a little swim dodge at the midline, and successfully clear the ball for the Mustangs. See if the Mustangs can get a good possession here and try to take the lead early in this contest. Mustangs are definitely coming in as the underdogs here. 21 ranked versus number 1. Mustang on a 3-game losing streak. Close one to BC the other day. Got blown out pretty good by Chapman on Saturday and lost to Concordia a week or two before that. So they're definitely looking for a much-needed win, but it's going to be tough to come by today, taking on the number 1 team in the country. Elliott with the low to high on an alley dodge, and probably not going to get it done against a solid BYU keeper. Easy clear for BYU after the shot went right into Moon's stick, and he outletted it quickly to give the Cougars the easy clear. I think the Mustangs are going to have to be a little more patient on offense on that. It's 0-0 right now, and there was still plenty of time in the shot clock. And Elliott settled for one that's rarely going to go in. Well, we can already tell that Halverson is a volume shooter. He's not afraid to let it rip. Sails that one wide. Feed to the crease. Can't handle the pass. Halverson tries to get it back. Ground ball by Hart for the Mustangs, but then he loses it. And BYU finally takes control after the GB from Gavin Christ. I don't know if they reset the shot clock. So I can't see the shot clock. Oh, there it is. Yeah, they did reset it. So we're at 65, so plenty of time for the Cougars on this possession. Ball forced into the crease for a guy that wasn't ready for the pass, and it comes up Mustangs with the LSM Joe Johnson on the ground ball. Ball back to Baccarizo, gets checked, and it goes into the back of his stack. Oh, man. So Baccarizo lost the ball 2 separate times there. Halverson keeps fighting for the ball, gets the loose ball, and with Baccarizo out of the net, it's an easy goal. Take a look on the highlight here. Baccarizo somehow didn't realize he was behind him, even though he had already checked him once. So that's just on the Cal Poly keeper. He's got to have a little better sense than that there's a guy right on his back. So BYU takes the 1-0 early lead on a broken clear. Easy goal for the Cougars. Colin Lyons on the early move. Cougars won't push the transition and will run through their substitution package and get their offensive personnel on the field. Looks like Frey and Lions are probably in for the bulk of the work at the faceoff dot today, so that's going to be a key matchup. If the Mustangs have any chance to spring the upset in this game, Lions is going to have a big day for him. That's Halverson on the drive. Gets a step on Collins, but isn't able to put it on cage. Halverson definitely not a big kid, but not afraid to go to the rack. He's already driven the ball himself 3-4 separate times. Looks like Mustangs popped into a zone real quick, low in the shot clock. Hoblitzel gets a stick on the ball, goes out of bounds and stays Cougars. So we're down under 20 as the Mustangs stay in the zone here. Halverson takes it himself, does a whirling dervish maneuver, and puts it past Baccarizo for the second goal of the game. And that can be one of the problems when you're running a zone is I'd say the Mustang defense has already been a little passive, so they jump into that zone because it's low in the shot clock, but Halverson literally waltzes through the middle of the defense, does a couple spin moves, and finishes unmolested. So 2-0 Cougars. Frey wins it himself going forward. Fast break. Halverson. Oh, no, that wasn't Halverson. That was Alton Taylor. And the Cougars take a quick 3-0 lead off the fast break. Face-off fast break. Frey wins it going forward, just hits the point man. Again, passive, head down. Collins afraid to really go out and contest that shot. Taylor just put it past Baccarizo. I mean, at that point, you're better off just getting out of the way. You're blocking the goalie, standing there with the head down. I mean, you got to go out and hit that guy. Again, the Mustang defense, really passive, really failing to intimidate anyone at this point. And they're going to have to find some personnel that are willing to go out there and contest the shooters a little harder than that. All right, we got a break in the action during the timeout, and I'll be right back with you. Back, getting ready for another face-off. Looks like Cougars are sending out another guy. Tanner Shields will be taking this one. Lions on the face again for the Mustangs. So no surprise that the Cougars have jumped out to the 3-0 lead. I suppose they are the #1 ranked team in the country. But again, just not the kind of effort that you want to see from the Mustangs, at least in this first half a quarter. Lions wins that face-off. Flaherty gets the ground ball. Flaherty gets stripped of the ball, and the Cougars are going back the other way. Cougars are definitely pressuring the ball carrier, not just letting them walk around uncontested. The big man, oh, that's just unlucky. The big man for BYU, Robert Richardson, brings it down on the face, or brings it down on the clear, tries to feed a guy on the crease, which the pass wasn't there, and just a bad bounce rolls into the goal. I don't even know who will get credit for that goal. That's kind of sums up how the Mustangs' last few games have gone, that play right there. Just the ball's not bouncing their way, but they're also not creating their own breaks at this point. And they're down in a quick 4-0 hole. Johnson with the ground ball, another Cal Poly faceoff win. So they're They're doing well on the face-offs, giving themselves a chance, but they're going to have to pick it up on the defensive end and find a way to put some pressure on the BYU defense. DeGarens with the ball, makes the inside roll, shoots high to high, and Moon eats that one up. Inexplicably, the Cal Poly team was out of position, and it leads to a quick transition. And another transition goal against the Mustangs. That one, I didn't see what happened. It just looked like maybe the Cal Poly player was talking to someone over on the sidelines. We'll check it on the replay. You won't be able to see it, but yeah, so he's already behind even though it wasn't a fast break. And again, just really things not going well here in the early going for the Mustangs. Lyons ties him up. Ground ball, Braxton Mirian for the Cougars, and gives the Cougars possession.
Nice job, baby. Nice job. Hey, George.
Cougars make their substitutions and settle in on offense. Feeling pretty good about themselves at this point. An easy 5-0 lead. Haven't even broken a sweat at this point. Errant pass, we'll see if it makes it all the way back to the line. Good hustle from the Cougars. Keeps it in their possession. Drive on the left wing from Thomas Miles. Slide comes, and the Mustang defense holds. Looks like Hoblitzel picked off that pass, clears it himself, and the Mustangs will get another opportunity on offense. So, as subpar as the Mustang defense have been so far, the Mustang offense hasn't done much themselves. They've gotten a few shots off, but they really haven't challenged the Cougar goalie at this point. So I found out in the break that 44 is Keller, usually number 1. So that's Keller with the ball now. Takes it himself at X. Over to Mike Lejeski. First time I called his name today. They're gonna need some output out of him to have a chance in this game. Drives it, finds Trageser. That was a good look and a good shot and a good save. You'd like to see Trageser try to change planes a little bit more. He's a tall kid. Shot coming from up high and went high. Cougars overthrow the clearing pass, and Collins is able to get the ground ball. Up to Keller, who brings it down to the Mustang offense. So a good look on that last offensive opportunity for the Mustangs. Trageser had probably their best shot of the day, certainly from the best location, just couldn't put it past Moon, who's pitching the shutout so far. Little two-man game at X. And the Cougars with the run out, and it'll go black.
Hey, come this point of the diamond. Pull, diamond. Carry.
Another one of the large Cougar defenders takes the ball himself. That's Taylor Mason with the clear. Gets it over the midline and just dumps it off to his short stick.
Hold that, Cabo!
Cougars swing the ball around the perimeter. Shot from Halverson. He definitely likes working from that right wing.
Hey, reset!
We got to make sure that we're.
They haven't reset it. So after the reset, they didn't reset the ball. Hey, was there a reset, man?
Ball up to top center.
You did it. You did it.
Caleb Wills drives down the center, gets it through X, and they throw it back up. 16 was open. Spencer Walker, but couldn't handle the pass, and turnover goes to the Mustangs. So Ricoz brings the ball down himself, clears it, finds Elliott. Elliott chooses to settle the ball down and get the Mustangs another offensive possession. Mustangs' clearing game looks pretty solid. They had some struggles in that in some of the earlier games, so clearing looks pretty good. Face-offs look pretty good. Defense is still struggling mightily. And the offense is generating looks, but at this point just has not been able to put it past Moon from the Cougars. It's Big Jack Kramer pulling it up top center. Working a little two-man game up top. Moves it through X. Michael Ajeski looked like he was about to try to drive it himself, but couldn't get past the large Cougar defender. And the Cougars are going the other way. Mason takes the shot himself. Not a bad look, honestly, but Baccarizo's up to the task. And we're going back the other way. It's Michael Ajeski with the ball on the wing. One thing about the Cougars, they never, they always seem to have some large gentlemen, probably a few 25-year-olds, especially in this day and age. Between COVID and LDS missions, they generally have some of the older team or older guys on the roster than many teams. But yeah, they've got some large guys out there, and they're not afraid to play a physical brand of lacrosse. Mustangs botched their offensive opportunity, and the clock's winding down here on the first quarter. BYU's going to get one more chance. Swings it across to Halverson. He's going to try to generate something here in the waning seconds of the first quarter. That was pretty solid defense from Jake Brown. I don't recall calling his name before. Oh, Cougars get a shot off. Not sure if it would have counted or not, but he sailed it wide anyway. All right, well, BYU came out quickly, took the 5-0 lead here in the first quarter. See if the Mustangs can battle back. They did go down, I believe it was 8-2 against Boston College Eagles a couple days ago. Managed to bring it all the way back to 8-7, had some opportunities in the final minute or two to tie it up, send it into overtime, just couldn't get the tying goal. So they've shown the ability to come back, but that was a pretty lackluster first quarter from the Mustangs, especially from the defense again. It's really just there's a lot of passivity out there, not a lot of aggressive D, and Cougars taking advantage. See if they start switching up some of their defensive personnel, or if they, I'm not at practice every day, so I have no idea what the coaches are seeing, and I'm sure the starters are the starters for a reason, but it does look like when you're on a 3-game losing streak and starting off the game in a 5-0 hole without a lot of intensity on the defensive end, it seems like you might want to try some new personnel just to see how they perform in a game setting, because the defense right now is struggling, and it might be worth trying some new personnel or some new combinations and see how they work together. Can't say enough about Baccarizo. He's been under assault a lot lately, but he's standing tall, still doing his job. I'll check the stats at the half and let you know, but I think he's probably got 5 saves, so he's coming in at least 50% on his save percentage, which is kind of what you're looking for as a starting point anyway. You'd like to, if they could get to 600 or 650, that'd be excellent, but 500 is workable. So it's not the goalie that
That's a lie.
that's the source of the Mustangs' problems these days. It's also not the face-off guy. We talked about this a little bit in the last game, but Lyons is pretty new to the position and been doing a great job. Not winning a ton of them cleanly to himself, but definitely scrapping it out and turning it into a 3-on-3, and the Mustangs have been faring pretty well on the face-off. Again, BYU gets the ball out, and actually they get this one.
Yeah, water dog.
A couple of bobbles, but the Cougars have managed to maintain possession.
Gotta reset the shot clock, please. Here we go, Black. There's a play.
Guys, you need to figure it out right now.
Feeds it through a lot of Mustang sticks to the backside, but can't handle the pass. Hoblitzel gets the ground ball, wisely retreats and gets it back to his goalie. Nice play by Hoblitzel. He's played well as one of the Mustangs' more experienced defenders, but the overall unit has definitely struggled. It's Trageser with the ball. Works it through X to Mike Lejeski, and the Mustangs going to let their substitutes get on and see if they can crack the goal here in their first possession in the second quarter. That's Piavis on the drive, dishes it off to Hart. Swings it back to Piavis. Piavis moves it to Trageser, who puts it from this angle, looked just about dead center in the cage, but gets a little bit of a break. Goalie shifted on his feet and actually went right over his shoulder. I don't think that's exactly where Trageser is trying to put it, but he will definitely take it right now. Piavis works it back. Yeah, just see the goalie was kind of moving upfield, and he flinched and it went right over his shoulder. It's nearly middle of the goal, which is obviously not where you're usually trying to put it, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Lions wins it forward, or gets it going forward. Yeah, Mike Lejeski just got loose ball pushed out of the box, so that's going to go Mustangs' way. So again, Lions really doing a nice job, starting to mix it up, starting to win some to himself. Although he wasn't able to get the ground ball, it resulted in a Mustang offensive possession. All right, let's see what the Mustangs can do now. 5-1, a little bit of life out here. It's Hart on the drive. Over to Mike Lejeski, who's been moved down to attack. Finds Trageser. Oh, that's a nice goalie save right there. Trageser made him move on that, put it high to low, and the goalie still was up to the task. So I think you got to give that one to the goalie. That was a feed into Elliott, who can't put it on cage, or actually can't put it past the keeper, I should say. Blow this kid up. Hey, Hoblitzel hit somebody, but they still managed to contain the ball. And that's Garf, puts it over Bakariza's shoulder on the kind of broken play clear. So again, the struggles in the Mustang transition D, part of that started with Hoblitzel, who came way up to try to dislodge the ball, and which I think was the right decision. He just didn't bring enough with him to knock the Cougar off his line and disrupt the play. So Cougars win the clamp, but again, Lions is able to tie him up. I think that was a attackman for the Mustangs stepped on the line, which is really the last thing you need at this point. So that ball goes to the Mustangs, but they got a bit of a fray here in the middle of the field. I think they're granting the Cougars a timeout on that. Coach Dabrio not exactly happy with the lack of a call down here on the other side. All right, so Mustangs get the first one of the second quarter. Cougars strike back quickly, and it's 6-1 Cougs. Wind picking up a little bit out here, so you might hear that in the microphone, but still pretty perfect weather for a lacrosse game in March. Probably a little nicer here than it is in Provo today. So hard to say how this game's going to go today, although it certainly looks like Cougars are getting far. But this is appears to be the 8th time that these two programs have played. Both two of the bigger programs, more well-renowned programs in the MCLA. Obviously, Cal Poly not quite at the level of BYU. I think it'd be hard to argue that BYU is not the most dominant program in the history of the MCLA. I don't think they've ever missed a national tournament. They've got 4 national titles. If you go to their website right now, it says they have 5 national titles, but that's a misnomer beyond misnomers because they're counting last year, which was basically a summer tournament for the few programs that were able to play in 2021. Mustangs coming back out in that zone. Feeds the crease. Hoblitzel with another picked off pass. He's very adept at that. He's done that quite a bit this year. One of the benefits of the zone. All right, Mustangs, another one on the board. That was Mike Lejeski to Elliott on the little transition opportunity. Didn't look like Elliott was actually all that open, but Mike Lejeski was able to squeeze it in there. And Elliott was able to tiptoe around the crease and score before he stepped into the crease. So we got 6-2 with that goal. Cal Poly trying to inch back into this one. When you're struggling on D and not having your best effort at offense, sometimes you got to take those transition opportunities, even if they're not perfectly, not an obvious 4-on-3. That definitely not a typical fast break, but it's often a lot easier to score before the defense is settled in. And that was one of those examples there as Elliott was able to get on the board. That's Halverson on the drive. He's definitely shifty. He's been their primary ball handler so far. He loses control on that one, and Mustangs go the other way. That's Collins back to Baccarizo. Baccarizo puts it up to Piavis, but they can't connect, and that's a blown Mustangs clear, and Cougars will take over on offense. I wouldn't say the Mustangs need to be perfect on clears, but they're going to have to be pretty good to, again, get back into this one and work their way toward an upset. So plays like that aren't gonna help the cause for sure. That was Garf. Garf looks to be the left-hander. Their high scorer right now. Feeds to Garf on the backside, who chooses not to shoot that one. Working a lot from the wings, BYU offense. Yeah. That was Alton Taylor on the drive from top center, and definitely got a step on Flaherty, but there was also no slide coming, and just put the nice bouncer off of Baccarizzo's offside. Actually, that was his strong side. Again, no slide, or at least not a slide that actually got to the ball carrier, and that's been the trend of the Mustang defense. Official calls Cougars with the jump. And that's Tanner Shields, who's taken a few, not as many as number, I can't remember off the top of my head now. I think it was Gray who's taken the most of them. Hart starts off the ball, top center, drives, rolls back, tries to find someone open on the backside but can't, moves it through X to Mike Lejeski. Mike Lejeski feeds it up to Elliott. Over to Garens, who lets it rip from about 15 top center, and it goes wide. Mike Lejeski takes it himself, has some room to work on the wing, dishes it off. There's Hart. Over to Mike Lejeski, who takes a step up, gets above GLE, and can't get it past the BYU Cougar keeper. And unlike the Mustangs defense, the BYU defense puts Mike Lejeski on the turf and gets the foul called. We'll see what the call was. I'm gonna guess it was either a cross check or maybe high. Illegal body check. So.
Why you gotta stand there so hard, Kyle?
All right, so this will be the first Cal Poly man up opportunity of the day.
Kyle, you low-key catch bodies though, like you're making that.
Kramer over to Keller. That's Trageser at X. That's Mike Lejeski. He likes to load a high. Oh, that was a nice save from the BYU keeper. Wasn't a bad shot. Certainly wasn't a bad place to shoot. I think Mike Lejeski took a little too long on that one. Sometimes it's about the quickness of the release just as much as the speed of the shot. And that one was a windup that the goalie definitely had an opportunity to line up and see the whole way. It was a good shot, well placed, but again, Moon up to the task. That's a real shot in the foot, shooting yourself in your own foot there for the Mustangs. They could have really used that goal to try to climb back to 7-3, but instead, Mustangs or Cougars kill the penalty and now have the ball themselves, and we're back to even strength. That's Garf, the lefty, sweeping across the top, dishes it off. Toffeletti over to Miles, drives the wing, kind of runs out of angle. Good defense by Keller. Wild shot by Halverson, I believe it was. That wasn't going to go in, but Baccarizzo is able to catch it and give the Mustangs a clearing opportunity, but they throw it away. And here comes the BYU defender with an outside rip. That was Taylor Mason, kind of going low to low from the long pole. Not usually what you're looking for. Halverson with the ball. Yeah. So that was Halverson with the ball. You're going to see that on the replay. Kind of gave him the behind-the-back fake pass, didn't actually make the pass. Mustang defender stumbles, and then he just keeps it himself and hits the corner. So that's a combination of a nice play from Halverson, a little imperfect footwork from the Mustang defender, and we got Cougars up 8-2 with about 6 to go in the first half. Shields definitely got control of that one, got it going forward. Lions wasn't able to tie him up, and we're going Cougars on offense. So So that was a 2-on-6 from what I could tell. 2 Cougars, 6 Mustangs, and they still nearly scored the ball. Had to get bailed out by Bacarizo. At some point, I don't know if there's any yelling going on in the Cal Poly sidelines, but there would be if there probably should be. Let's just put it that way, because right now they are just not dialed in, not working together as a unit defensively, and really seem hesitant to even try to be aggressive. Kramer with the ball, moves it over to Piavis. Piavis at X, little 2-man, although that's McLean Schultz, I believe, 55, with an absolute just popcorn shot, stick-to-stick shot. That was bad speed and bad placement. But he does try to make up for his mistake with a tough ride, but the Cougars come out of that with their own clear. Halverson tried to get a little too fancy, and Bacarizo makes the save. Again, Bacarizo and Lyons doing their best to give the Mustangs an opportunity to stay in these games. Going to need some others to step up alongside them, though. Wing drive, swings it across. That's Halverson with probably his 10th shot of the day already. Pings it off the pipe, but it's going to stay Cougars. That was 20. Alton Taylor with the backhanded shovel shot. I think Bacarizo got a piece of that. He's got to have a boatload of saves at this point. Collins gets drived on, shot off, but it goes wide. We've got a little invert. Piavis playing the ball behind the goal. Good defense from Piavis, and Hoblitzko gets the ground ball. Takes it himself, gets it up over the midline. Soaks the Cougar check, and then works it back to Kramer, excuse me. Kramer bringing the ball below GLE. He's going to work from the left wing. Feeds it through X over to Mike Lejeski, who's got his defender hung up. That's Elliott over on the pipe. Oh, that was a nice look. Nice shot from Hart, and that's just another good save from Moon. Moon has definitely been up to the task as well. That's about as good as you're going to get, and he was able to get to the low offside pipe. All right. Cougars clear the ball, and Coach Schneck calls his second time out of the half. Cougars going to draw something up and try to extend their lead late in the second. So we're about 2 minutes left in the half. 8-2 BYU. Mustang offense generating some looks, but unable to really get it past Moon enough to keep this one close. And the Mustang defense is not going to keep them in it without the Mustang offense performing really well today. We'll see if the Mustangs come out in a zone. They've showed zone quite a bit this year, but I don't know that it's been all that effective. It has at times. They ran it a lot against Cal. I think that was after they were down quite a bit. They've sprinkled it in into other games, and it's had some success. This is often a time where teams will throw the zone out to kind of counterbalance the fact that the offense just took a timeout and is probably drawing something up, expecting man. Although in this day and age, we've been doing this for so long now that usually when you call a timeout, you call both plays for a man defense and against a zone defense, because it's so often that they come out in a zone. The big hitters from the Cougars so far, definitely Halverson, had the ball in the stick a lot. Really shifty, not a big kid at all, but not afraid to drive for his own shot. He's probably got a hat trick on the day. I'll check the stats at half. Garf, who was the leading scorer coming into this game, but their two opponents have been Washington State and Boise State, which are not top-notch programs, so it's hard to make too much of the leading scorer after those two games. But he's obviously their lefty attackman. And then they've got a lot of nice other complementary parts that aren't afraid to shoot and are capable of driving as well. It's Halverson at X. Mustangs do come out in the zone. Halverson feeds up to 13. Backariza makes a nice save. That was Caleb Wills on the shot. Halverson with the fake. Maintains the ball himself. Brings it up to Taylor. Takes the long outside shot. It hit Collins. Not that he would know because his head's down every time somebody takes a shot. BYU maintains possession. 25 seconds in the shot clock. Mustangs staying in that zone. Here's Garf dragging up the left side. Takes it himself. Lets it fly. Goes wide. Back to Garf. And he shoots through Hoblitzel and hits the top right corner. It's a nice shot from Garf. Yeah, and that's Hobbitzel just not able to disrupt that shot enough to bail the Mustangs out there. But just a simple drive from Max against the zone. One pass, lets it fly. Hobbitzel can't get there in time, and it just goes past Baccarizo. That's 9-2 Cougs, and they win the face. Nice, tough ground ball from Corwin Frey, the face-off guy. Cougars lost possession down there in the corner. I wasn't able to see that, so I'm not sure exactly what happened, but Mustangs will clear. So just over a minute in the half. Mustangs would love to get this clear, probably call a timeout and set something up and try to get one before the end of the half. Collins brings the ball over. Somehow Mustangs managed to be offsides, and they turn it right back over to the Cougs.
Hey, keep it down on this end. Hey, offense. Use up the minute. Use up the minute. Third tier! Third tier! Over heavy, over heavy, over heavy!
It's another of the BYU big man, takes it himself. Richardson. BYU is going to get one last opportunity in this second quarter. We're down to around 30 seconds. Offensive personnel are in. 2 on. with the drive down the alley, moves it to Halverson through X, who pushes it to the backside and just hits another top corner. And that's just too much time and room for a solid outside lefty shooter. That was a long pass across the field. Really got to be able to get to that shooter in that amount of time.
I'm glad I felt Seth right there.
That was Huff on the face for the Mustangs, able to win the face, but they can't clear the ball, so BYU's going to get one last shot. Shot was after the buzzer, so it wouldn't have counted. All right, well, I suppose not unexpectedly, nothing magical has changed in the first half of the Mustangs. Defense still struggling, still passive. BYU Cougars look good, a lot of talented guys. Halverson's stood out for sure. So we got a 10-2 with the Cougars taking the lead at the half, and we'll take a quick break and see you in about 8 to 10 minutes for the second half. That was Alton Taylor barely going to go in. Well, we can already tell that Halverson is a volume shooter. Rizzo gets checked, and it goes into the back of his stack. Oh, man. So Baccarizo stay in the zone here. Halverson takes it himself, does a whirling dervish maneuver, and puts it past. Frey wins it himself going forward.
I'm learning. I meant to put your camera.
half. We've got BYU up 10-2 at the break. Mustang coaches kind of searching for answers, trying to find something to spark this team and help them get back on the winning track, or even just get back on a more positive notes. So we'll see how this second half plays out. So again, 10-2 at the half. Not sure it's going to get all that much closer. So we're gonna be dipping into the Twitter question bank in this half to keep ourselves entertained. Good old DK, one of our old goalies from the 09 to 2012 era, played the second half of that national championship game that we didn't quite win. But anyway, he's got the first question for us. So, and I like this one, so I'm gonna talk about this one. It says, "Hey coach, how do you think teams of the past would have done in the shot clock era?" He also said that BYU submit birth certificates before the game, but you don't have to do that. There's no age limit for the MCLA. And you're going to see a lot of older teams with the pandemic awarded eligibility. So we won't hold that against the Cougs. But to talk about Bowen's question a little bit, yeah, man, shot clock in the Cal Poly era. Like, I know that 2012 team liked to shoot it up. They were not afraid to shoot. So I think that would have worked out pretty well for that team, that 4-year crew. And the defense was pretty hard to get past. So limiting them to only 80 seconds. I want to say that the 9, 10, 11, 12 teams would have thrived even more than they already did in the shot clock era. All right, Lions. And Frey with the opening faceoff, and Frey wins that one to himself and maintains possession, or grabs possession, I should say. And the Cougars settle in for their first offensive possession of the second half. Oh, errant pass from the Cougars. Gets knocked out of bounds, and it's going to go Mustangs' way. Well, I don't think that was the right call. I don't think Cougars needed any other breaks at this point, but staying with the Cougars. Another errant pass from the Cougs. This one's probably not going to roll out of bounds. Alton Taylor gets over, picks it up, and Cougars stay on possession here. Clock. Taylor taking the shorty down below GLE, a little invert. Drives up the other way and brings it back. Goes for the shovel shot. That's his second one of those today. That one missed. Wide of the cage. 16 in the shot clock. That's Clifford driving from X. Bad pass. Hobbitzel can't pick it up, but Mustangs are probably going to get the ball back anyway. Oh, BYU kicked it out of bounds. Shot clock was about to run out. Flaherty picks up the ball, clears it himself, and Mustangs will get their first offensive shot of the second half. Mustangs bring on the offensive personnel that they're looking for. Spurlock out there with Piavis, the ball at top center. Drives it down, doesn't draw the slide, moves it through X. Might want to look to redodge there. BYU was there, but then backed away from the slide. Might be able to catch him looking the other way if you can redodge on that wing. It's Spurlock driving across the top of the box. Piavis over to Elliott, but the pass is low. And Elliott battling with a much larger Cougar. Can't get it. Mike Lejeski is able to get the ball. Actually, it's Elliott with the ground ball. Over to Mike Lejeski. And Mustangs wisely just chuck it away as the shot clock was about to expire. Not sure what the refs are discussing here. I think the shot clock might have actually already expired, but there was no buzzer or anything.
Gentlemen, there was 3 seconds. The player took it upon himself to throw the ball out of bounds. Okay, so someone must have seen a reset. I saw a hand go up. Okay, which is fine. But he threw it out of bounds. It's a reset. It's a black ball. Reset. Black ball coming up.
All right. So, yeah, shot clock was winding down. Cal Poly dumped it into the corner. Cougar ball. Cougar brings it up on the clear. Still got Moon in the cage. He had a really nice first half. Actually had him recorded with 9 saves. Hey, they actually put somebody on the turf. Goalie's obviously out of the cage because that was the goalie with the ball, and it was the goalie that got put on the ground. So a little spark out of the Mustangs, little aggressiveness pays off, and they break the Cougar clear. Coach Dabrio complaining about the goalie lowering his head into the opponent, the defensive opponent, which you're not really allowed to do. You can't initiate contact with your head when you have the ball. Karma got Moon on that one. He got knocked on his butt and lost possession anyway. Mike Lejeski with the long pass over to Piavis, who rips low to high. But again, Moon is up to the task. And again, I think I'd say not a bad shot, but speed of the release is just as important as speed of the shot, and the speed of the release on that was about as slow as you can get. So that allowed Moon to track the ball, which was at X, and then find it all the way back up top. You're just so much better off just get rid of that one quickly while the goalie's still turning around in the cage and trying to find the ball. But instead he stared him down, put a lot of pace on it, but Moon made the save. All right, we got Mustangs on O. McLean Schultz with the shake. Gets in the top center. Over to Piavis. Michael Lejeski at X. Over to Piavis. That's Keller, number 44, usually number 1, or at least listed as number 1. Draws the slide from the big Cougar defender, but can't find the open man. Still 27 in the shot clock, plenty of time. It's Mike Lejeski working from the wing. Seen some pretty solid Cougar defense so far. Really not. Oh, that was a nice move from Elliott, and really one that just needs to go in. He did a good job of getting up above GLE, took an extra step, even gave the goalie a little stick fake, but then kind of put the ball back in the same place that his stick fake was. And again, Moon makes the save. Mike Lejeski on the 2-man game at X. Draws the short stick defender. See if he tries to take advantage of the matchup. Instead, he hits Piavis on a cut down the alley, who sails the ball well over McLean Schultz's head. Collins does a good job of getting up to the midline and preventing the ball from going over. Cougars stepped over the midline, so the ball goes back to the Mustangs, and we get a clock shot reset. So little life out of the Mustangs, but they're really having a hard time finishing the offensive looks that they are generating. And Moon has been up to the task on nearly everything they've thrown at him. Elliott over to Piavis. To Kramer at top center. Drives the alley. Had a pretty good spot, but chose to move it back through X. Mike Lejeski, kind of a less than perfect feed to Trageser in the middle. He's not able to hold it. Cougars bobbling the ball in the middle of the field, but the big Robertson is able to pick it up. Probably wants to take it himself. Fights through traffic. That was Richardson, excuse me. Fights through traffic and gets the shot off. I don't think there's much of a The word is out that Cal Poly, this 2022 version of the Cal Poly defense is not a big hitting team. So you're going to get guys that are going to try to go through traffic a little bit, willing to take a few small half-hearted hits to score a goal, especially the defenders who don't get those opportunities often. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that quite a bit. Nice look from the Cougars. Feed from X, up to Spencer Walker on the high crease, puts it past Baccarizo. Yeah, that was just a nice cut from Walker. Flaherty wasn't able to get back to his defender. Goal, Cougars. All right, it's 11-2. Lions scraps it up, enables Johnson, or that's Ricos, to pick up the GB. So Mustangs get the, wow, another big outside rip from Mike Lejeski, and Moon is just seeing the ball well, and nothing is going in for the Mustangs. Another of the big Cougar defenders with the ball, moves it over to Moon. Moon's going to go over the midline again, but Cougars had stepped off sides. Coes takes a long shot and sails it wide, and there's no backup, so back to the Cougars. It's Taylor Mason. Again, kind of hammering through traffic for the Cougars. That was a push in the back that didn't get called. Cougars get the ground ball and have the ball on offense. Not sure how that one wasn't called, but things definitely not going the Mustangs' way in this one. Sometimes you create your own breaks, though, and the Cougars have definitely done that. Slide from Ricos, errant pass from the Cougars, and it's going to the Mustangs. DeGuerin's up to Piavis on the clear, gives the Mustangs the ball on offense. Kramer drives down the alley, puts it far side pipe. Not a lot of angle there, but at least he worked to get himself right in front of the goal. So absorbs the check, gets Moon to mirror his stick high, and then puts it low. It's a nice move from Kramer. A little more authority on that drive. No slide came, so no reason not to get the shot off in that case. Cal Poly's third goal on the day. Brigham Young still with a commanding 11-3 lead. Cougars win the face, bring it down. Look for the transition opportunity, but choose to settle it up. Cougars probably not in a whole lot of hurry at this point in the game. Not like it's a done deal or anything, but 8-goal lead midway through the third. They've really been in control the whole time. So they're just going to settle into their offense. It's only their third game, so they're probably still trying to figure out what works for them, what their best units are, what their best sets are. Big shot from the right wing from Thomas Miles. Nice save, offside high for Baccarizo. Continues to look pretty solid in the cage. As Collins takes it himself over the midline, is able to clear it. Trageser with the ball. Elliott slows things down at X, gets it over to Mike Lejeski as the offensive middies for the Mustangs move onto the field. Kramer, the one who just had that goal on the right alley drive, takes it again. This time he breaks it back to the center. Still no slide coming. So he takes it himself, puts a nice high bouncer, but it just sailed over the cage. I think he'd beaten Moon on that one, but just went a little too high. Looks like BYU is a little hesitant to slide at this point. Not sure why, since it was effective for him in the first half. Clayne Schultz with the ground ball. Trageser tried to feed it to Kramer, I think, on the crease, but intercepted by BYU. Another one of the big guys, probably going to look for his own shot. Big guy to big guy, Richardson. Another nice save by Bakariza, this time low. Goes down low to get it. Kramer fumbles it, but's able to recover. Gets it up to Elliott. Mustangs choose not to push the transition. Elliott looks to drive to the cage, or that was Mike Lejeski actually, but gets collapsed on by the BYU defense and doesn't get the shot off. Cougars will go for the clear. Mason over to Moon. Moon with the long outlet pass to the attackman. Finds a streaking midfielder. It's a nice look, but Jacob Burnt just a little off on the pass and throws it out of bounds. Mustangs ball. Collins to Bakarizo. Bakarizo looking for Piavis in the middle of the field. It bounces past him, but Ricoz is able to gather the ball and get it down to the Mustangs. Piavis streaking to the goal was open, but him and I think it was Elliott on the feed couldn't connect. Piavis ball, moves it down the right wing, feeds it over to Hart with a not the best shot in the world. Now the Cougars got a fast break. Slide comes a little late. Again, bailed out by Bakarizo. That's 3 transition saves in this quarter alone for Bakarizo. Again, giving the Mustangs a shot. But until they get the other portions of their game dialed in, it's just going to be a matter of keeping them close and keeping them in it, but going to have to make improvements in other portions of the game to actually get them back on the winning side of things. All right, we're under a minute in the third. A little better for the Mustangs, at least score-wise. It's one goal each in the third quarter. Plenty of opportunities for both teams. Lots of good goalie play. Both keepers have played well. So that's the Mustangs in the zone, and again, just no checks, no sticks on gloves. So Yuan sailed that one a little wide, but just feeling really comfortable out there on the Cougar offense. That was Alton Taylor on the drive, and that was probably the nicest shot of the day. Drives down the alley. We'll check it on the highlight. That's Taylor driving down the right wing. Slide comes slow and hesitant and late, and he rips it low to high on the run, which is not the easiest thing to do. So nice play by Taylor, and again, passive defense from the Mustangs. So we must have had a dead ball penalty, no face, man up for the. Actually, it was not a penalty called, just a dead ball turnover. So there's no face. Mustangs get one last opportunity. All right, Mustangs not able to generate another shot. And that'll bring us to the end of the third quarter. So BYU wins that one 2-1 to stretch their lead a little bit, 12-3. Again, Mustangs offense generating some looks, but not able to keep this close. I'll guess that the Cougars going to start emptying out the bench, which they have ample players, and they've got games against Dominican tomorrow, all the way up in the Bay Area, and then Santa Clara on Saturday for the Cougars. Santa Clara ranked number 8 after their overtime victory against Cal, so that's the highest ranked opponent they're going to see on this trip. But Dominican is a solid program, so they're probably going to start gearing up for that, get out of here with the win, and let some of their other players see a little time here in the fourth. All right, we're checking back onto the Twitter feed, keep ourselves entertained for this fourth quarter with the Mustangs down double digits. Nespor coming in with the question for us: who's got the better field with a view, Cal Poly or BYU? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, BYU's Provo's a pretty place. I wouldn't want to spend more than 12 hours there, but it is beautiful, and so usually I'd give it to us against almost anyone, but I might actually tip toward Provo just on the view alone, strictly on the view, certainly not on the town or the university, and definitely not on the food. I think we had some all-you-can-eat pizza in Provo last time we were there in 2014, and the entire team got sick. That was a nice trip. Whose idea was it to go to Provo for spring break anyway? Maybe we should really talk to our travel manager for that one. So, but it's a beautiful day out here, and we don't have we do have some of the horses in the background. So, always a nice place to be. Provo, good place for a game. Although some of the most home-cooked refs I've ever dealt with is 2015 in Provo, or maybe it was 2014. When you're playing at home, when you're playing away, you always expect home team's going to get a couple more calls, but I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like that game. An infamous 5-3 loss to the Cougars in spring break Provo 2014. Remember it well. All right, Cougars take the opening face of the fourth and settle in for their offensive opportunity. Halverson dishes it up. BYU content to slow it down, hold the ball at X. Probably going to dump it into the corner. Actually doesn't realize it. Now he does. All right, shot clock violation. Might be the first one of the day. Oh, yeah, the goalie change at the break. Didn't notice. That's Lucas Chu, I believe, in for the Mustangs, taking over the netminder duties. Getting a little opportunity. Show us what he can do. Got the Mustangs on offense here. That's Keller driving top center. Nice defensive midi play from the Cougars. Mike Lejeski has got his man hung up at X, trying to find the cutters. Brings it up and moves it to Piavis. Piavis down the right alley, takes the high bouncer. Couldn't see if that actually got through to Moon. I don't think it did. Cougars with the ground ball, and then it's going the other way. Kyle Brown brings it down for the Cougs. Halverson with the one-handed wraparound scoop shot doesn't go. Innovative enough to give it a try, though. He's definitely skilled for sure. He's been pretty impressive today. Carpenter, big guy, driving down the alley, gets a little fake pass and moves it through X over to Halverson. Actually, that's Taylor to Halverson. Halverson, another shot, bounces off Chu. I think Chu got the save on that one. Back up for the Cougars. Yep, they're calling the reset, so I think that was a save from Chu. Yeah, that's Halverson, or no, that was Taylor trying to do a little bit of a highlight reel, fake out the goalie, but Chu was stood his ground and made the save. Chu with the ball up to Keller, and Keller just drops the pass right in front of the goal. Chu with, I'm not sure, again, with that, that was a save or just a missed shot. Five Mustang defenders and one BYU offensive player, and the BYU offensive player comes out unscathed with the goal. Yeah, just again, Mustang defense out of sorts, not communicating. Nobody knows who has who, and got a quick restart from the Cougars, and even though they were two guys down, had an easy look, and not much Chu can do about that. All right, keeping the questions coming from the peanut gallery here. Perea wants to know how the defensive middies are faring out here today. And the Cougars' defensive middies have looked solid, I can tell you that much, because the Mustang drives against their short sticks hasn't generated a lot of looks. For the Mustangs, we've got Flaherty's always a strong player. He's still had a good game, even in a somewhat lopsided game. But the whole defensive crew at this point, just I think the aggression just needs to be cranked up a notch. At some point, being over aggressive can obviously make it a little too easy on the offense, create their offense for them, as they say, if you're sliding too early and working too much for a hit. But if you never hit, then the offense is just too comfortable and just too settled in. So we could use some of our old school D middies. Maybe a Camo freight train right now might help the Mustangs. That might be the spark that these guys need. Another question from Lucas. What's one of my best memories from a BYU Cal Poly game? So I was talking about it earlier in the game. We came into this one with BYU leading the series 4-3, so probably going to be 5-3 at the end of the day. Seems like we played the Cougars more than that, but I guess we haven't. A couple of big wins here at Cal Poly over the Cougars. 2012, that was a 10-9 victory. I want to say that Groutman had 5 goals in that game, but that was early in the 2012 season, and we knew we were going to be good in 2012, but I think that was the game that made us realize just how good we could be. And again, as we all know, almost winning the national title, just falling a couple goals short. So that's probably the big one. 2012 here. Gosh, is that on the turf field? Yeah, I guess it must have been. I don't really remember that one besides Groutman shooting. All right. So we're down to about 10 in the game. BYU with the commanding 13-3 lead at this point. All right, Mustangs offense going to try and figure some things out here. There's still a lot of season left. Came into this game 2-4, so they're going to drop to 2-5. They've got a strong but not great UVU team coming in on Saturday, so definitely an opportunity where they could get back on the winning track. They've only played the one WCLL game. That was Spurlock on the wraparound from X. Driving himself, getting the shot off. Nice save from Moon. Or is that still Moon? Did the Cougars make the switch? Yeah, it's still Moon. Kind of surprised about that, actually. That's to Garens. Drives from X. Shoots wide. Mike Lejeski brings the ball in from the sidelines. It's like he's got the shorty. Feeds it up to Trageser, who's not able to put it on cage. Trageser's been face guarded a lot this game. Just they're not really worried about his on ball or offense with the ball. So it's been just guarding him off ball, making sure he doesn't get loose on the crease, which is probably the Mustangs' biggest offensive threat at this point in the season. Long outlet from Moon, and that I just don't know how that happens. It's what are we running here as a clear or as a ride? So Hoblitzel, a fine player, but just 10, 15 yards off his guy, allows the goalie to make a 70-yard outlet pass with zero pressure. Another kind of emblematic moment of the game. Gavin Christ with the ball for the Cougs. Sweeps across the center. Takes a lefty rip on the run. Sails wide. Spencer Walker will bring it in for the Cougars. Drive down the right alley. Feeds it across. Somehow gets it through, but Taylor's not able to handle it cleanly, but maintains possession for the Cougars. Halverson seems to be out of the game at this point. Behind the back pass to the Mustang defender. Collins brings it up, runs into pressure, so rolls it back to Chu. Chu gets a little out of position. Gilman's it up. Bounces right to the Cougars, but they make an errant pass, and it's probably going to roll out of bounds, but no. Cougars, Chris Hansen hustles it down, saves it, and maintains possession for BYU. So even up 10 goals, that's how you're supposed to do it. Nice save from Chu on the one-on-one. Chu's looked good. Mustangs go to clear. Bounce pass to the goalie. Chu up to Mike Lejeski, the attackman, streaks upfield to give him an outlet. And Mustangs will settle in on offense. Yeah, so I was talking about the rest of the season for the Mustangs. Obviously not how they wanted to start this out. Coming in at 2-4, going to drop to 2-5. Down at 21 ranked, and could fall unranked at this point if they don't turn it around soon. Errant pass from Hart to Elliott, gives it back to the Cougars. But they still have their whole WCLL season ahead. They've played Cal, but no one else. So there's certainly wins there that can be had. But they're going to have to improve on the cohesion between the offensive and defensive units. We got a timeout called from BYU. I'm going to guess we're going to get a goalie switch and a few other things as we wind down this game at about 6:20 left. So we'll see if the Mustangs get back on track. Hopefully pick up the tempo on defense, kind of fine-tune that shooting on offense, which frankly the shooting hasn't been great. The generating looks has been there. They've had opportunities, but they haven't been able to get it past Moon for sure, and that's kind of been the story for them most of this season. But Mustangs will be back out here on this field on Saturday afternoon. I believe it's a 1 o'clock game against Utah Valley. Utah Valley, I want to say they're coming in at number 19. Yeah, 19. So good opportunity for the Mustangs. Maybe a little tighter of a matchup for them. Hopefully a team that they can run with and find a victory to get back on track, which will then send them into WCLL play. Actually, no, I think that sends them out to the East Coast, where they're going to be playing some tough teams. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's South Carolina, maybe Florida State, and actually one other. So they got some opportunities to make some noise out there, and then they'll come back to most of their WCLL games against Santa Clara, Stanford, Dominican, Santa Barbara. So a lot of season left. Definitely not starting out the way they wanted at 2-5, or soon to be 2-5. But they still got some pieces. They got a good face-off crew, good goalies, some offensive firepower, and then just the defense probably the Achilles heel at this point. Not that any unit's been perfect by any means, but that's the one that it's probably has the most improvements. The 21 goals given up to Chapman the other day, I had to go back into the record books, and I actually couldn't find a record of us giving up 20 goals. So it's been a long time. It's before the internet era, let's put it that way, as far as the last time that the Cal Poly defense gave up 20 plus. That's Rako's on the fast break. Mustang attack can't corral the ball, but Mike Lejeski gets the ground ball to maintain possession for the Mustangs. That's Nick Hughes at X, getting a little time there. Former 805 Shark. I won't be here on Saturday because I got an 805 Sharks game to coach in beautiful Bakersfield, California. Kramer on the drive, no slide coming, so he keeps it, keeps working. Gets his shot tipped away before it can get to the goalie. We'll see who wins the run out. It was real close. Refs are going to go BYU. Mustangs still getting out hustled by the Cougars despite being up 10. Cougars still playing hard. Got some new guys out on the field, including the goalie. I think Norton is in the cage now for the Cougs. Hasn't seen a shot yet from what I can tell, from what I remember.
Okay, get it down. Where's the ball, guys? Where's the ball?
All right, BYU possession. Under 5 in the fourth. Feed comes from X up to 3. That was Thomas Miles. I think that's saved by Dev Hippensteel, who is getting a little time. So we got Chu out and Hippensteel in. That was his first save of the day, I believe. Collins brings the ball up and over the midline himself. Gets it to Tragesser. Works the ball to Hughes at X, over to Mike Lejeski. Piavis holds it up a bit as the Mustang offense subs in. It's Toole with the ball, over to Hughes, to Hart. Hart with the two-man game on the wing. Gets it to Piavis with the shorty. Piavis' pass is knocked down. And Cougars have possession. Hughes jumps the goalie, gets it over to the defender. And Trageser, again, still working hard just like he was last game. I don't actually know who the captains are on this team. I'm assuming Dominic's one of them, but I don't know that for certain. Hughes over to Mike Lejeski. Nice hitch move from Mike Lejeski, and they get one past the new keeper on a low to high rip. That was a nice little play. Hughes could have gone himself, but he dished it off to Mike Lejeski, the one who's been on the field more, a little more settled into the game. And Mike Lejeski makes a nice hitch moves, gets the D-man to bite, brings himself up a little higher for better angle and low to high, and sticks it in the corner. Nice shot, nice look. 13-4 BYU. That's Huff again on the faceoff. Hold on the Cougars, I guess. That's so Huff gets the faceoff victory on that one. Just about over 2 minutes in the game. Got Elliott driving down the left wing, moves it to Mike Lejeski at X, pushes it up near side. Mike Lejeski with the pole on him.
Good, Chris. Good, Chris.
McLean Schultz takes the run at the BYU short stick defender, loses his footing, tries to find someone open on the crease, but ball does not get there. And Cougars come away with the ground ball. Long outlet pass to the streaking defender. Big shot from Taylor Mason from BYU, and Hippensteel's up to task and gets the save. Hobitzel with the check, dislodges the ball, but it bounces right back to Halverson, who's for inexplicably some reason still on the field. This is one of those where when Halverson gets injured, you just go, well, coach, that's on you. What the hell is he still doing on the field with a minute left in this game? But hey, that's just my philosophy. Halverson at X has Hobitzel hung up, dishes it off to space, and he just kicked the ball with his foot without the stick. Yeah, okay, they get the call. Playing without your stick is not allowed. Going Mustangs' way. See if they can get one more before this ends and go away with slightly better feeling than they would otherwise. Elliott on the drive, moves it to Toivola, I believe that was. Procedure call on Cougars, and it's staying with the Mustangs for probably the last possession of the game, down under 20. Kramer splits, drives to the left wing, slide comes, and he's not able to get rid of the ball. That's Mustangs in the crease. And that's just about going to do it, folks, and that will do it. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining me. I guess it's not us. It's just me. So, number 1 BYU Cougars take down the Cal Poly Mustangs at home, 13-4. BYU will move on to Dominican tomorrow and Santa Clara on Saturday. The Mustangs will try to regroup in time for their game on Saturday against Utah Valley here at home. And we'll be with you on the live stream. I will not be. So I'll be coaching the 805 Sharks. Go Sharks. But we'll have someone out here for you giving you the call. All right. Thanks for logging on. We'll talk to you next time.